¿Qué onda amigos? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos a un nuevo video. Yo soy Mariana, editora del futuro, y vengo a traerles esta entrevista que seguro por eso le picaron este video. Es la entrevista a Hannah Nicole, la autora de Asistente de Villano. Y ustedes dirán, Mariana, son meses después de la FIL, ¿por qué sigue subiendo entrevistas de la FIL? Creí que había perdido esta entrevista, pero la encontré y es una entrevista en la que me la pasé súper bien. La autora es súper chida, el libro es uno muy disfrutable, muy sencillo, pero que disfrutas, que sientes bonito. Entonces no quería dejar de traerles esta entrevista. Lo que sí se perdió fue la intro, o nunca la grabé, o yo no sé qué pasó. No retraso más el momento de la entrevista, espero que la disfruten muchísimo y muchísimas gracias por aventársela. Igual ya saben que siempre me pueden dejar las preguntas que les quieran hacer a los autores acá abajo, y si hay alguna oportunidad de volverlos a entrevistar, se las estaré haciendo. Así que sin más que decir, vamos con el video.
How did the character Raimundo came to your mind?
Yes. So he was on the cover originally, and he wasn't in the first draft of the book, which is a fact I love to share at signings because there's always like a hard gasp that follows it, like, oh my gosh, he was almost not in there. And I agree, because it's wild to think of the story without him now, because he's such a big part of it. But he was something that our cover artist drew as like a bunch of the other really cool things that she put on the cover. And I was doing developmental edits, so scenes were being cut and moved, and entire plot lines were being shifted. Like there was a big reveal in book 1 that I ended up not revealing.
Oh wow!
And I didn't reveal it in book 2 either. So we'll see if I reveal book 3. So lots of stuff was changing, and my editor and I were talking about how much we love the frog, and everyone at my publisher was in love with him too, and we were like bouncing back and forth about it, and it was kind of like one of those things where we were like, should we put him in the book? So we went back in and I did a round called Add Frog, which is the funniest title to any editing round I've ever had. And there were so many pockets. He just made every scene funnier. He slipped right in. He was like the missing puzzle piece that needed to come into place. And he actually took, this was also interesting from a writing perspective, because it felt very like a magic moment, because his arc sort of took the place of a character I was going to introduce in book 2. When my editor and I were discussing him, it was funny because we were like talking about Kingsley's arc would be through the books, or Raimundo. I was like, this is actually so perfect, because there was a character that I hadn't even named yet that I was going to introduce in book 2. I just knew what their role was going to be, and that is what Kingsley slipped into that. So Kingsley became that character.
And was it difficult to add him after the story was done? Because I think he's important for the mood of the book. Like I feel all the vibes of the book.
Yeah.
They not depend only on Raimundo, but he's an important piece.
Yeah, he's so important. No, it wasn't hard at all. And I think that's why I was like, he was always supposed to be in the book. Like this was like very like fate-driven situation, because when I went back in, there was just all these pockets he just fit right into. I would go through a scene and I'd be like, oh, he's right here saying this. It took me like 2 days to add him in, or to like work him and weave him like through the story. And when I read it back, it didn't feel like he had just dropped in there. It felt like he'd been there the whole time. So like there was even in their first meeting, it wasn't super, I didn't really super explain why the King's men were chasing the villain. Yeah. And then I was like, oh wait, like that makes sense. Like that's perfect. And I was like, it was one of those like magical writing moments where I'm like, I'm a wizard. Yeah, it was great. And our cover artist is super to thank, because she drew him, and now he's a huge part of the story. So yeah.
And now that you mentioned that this character came from the cover, how much involved are you on the covers? They have a lot of elements of the books.
Yes.
Are you involved in this, or you
I'm not like directly involved. I will say that my publisher is really, really fantastic at understanding the stories that they're promoting. Our cover artist, her name is Elizabeth Turner Stokes. She's done a couple of Red Towers covers, and every single one is beautiful. But when I first signed with them, they had me fill out this form of kind of like what I pictured the cover to be, and I said I wanted it to sort of be like whimsical, fairy tale looking, kind of like a storybook you'd pick up and start reading. And that was pretty much all I gave. I said I would love if there was like little Easter eggs on it to like things in the book. And they sort of took that and just knocked it out of all my expectations, like out of the park. Like when they showed me the cover of book 1, I cried. It was exactly what I pictured it to be. And with each one, I like each one better than the next. So with book 2, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna like it better than book 1, but I'll still love it. And I ended up liking it better. And same with book 3, like with each one.
You already have the cover for book 3?
Yes, it's up on social media, so you can see the cover for book 3. Yes, it's blue. The cover artist just really gets it, and she knows the story well, and I could boast about her forever. She's a legend to me. She does such a good job. Yeah.
We talk about Raimundo, and for people that haven't read the book, he's so fun.
Yes.
And the book, it's so fun. It also carries like a message. And it's a serious book in a way. Like
There's some heavy moments or weighted moments.
Yeah, so how do you balance this moment, the fun part with the serious part, and make it all feel like they belong together?
I think that it's a natural thing that I do outside of writing and just in real life, where if something is like particularly hard to cope with or difficult, I use humor to get through it. So I'll make jokes about it, or I'll just kind of like, laugh my way through it, because that's the only way I know how to get through something that's really hard. So I think the same thing when I'm writing, if a moment grows really heavy, the humor sort of just happens naturally, because that's what I do in real life. And I like to think that like I write the way that I live, which is sometimes there's really, really heavy emotional moments, and sometimes there's really, really happy, hysterical moments, and sometimes there's back to the emotional moments again. So I think that it's sometimes hard to gauge, but that's one thing that I don't struggle with. I struggle with many other things when drafting, but that's one thing that I think I'm really comfortable in, which is the go-between humor and more serious things, because I think that's and the people in my life are the same way. Like we all joke about things, and it just makes things like easier. It makes like life a little less stressful and serious, and it helps when you can laugh about something.
Now about the plot and how you plan your books. You are really plot twisty, right?
I love that word, plot twisty. I want them to be blurbed on the next one. I love it, yeah.
Do you plan those plot twists ahead of writing, or you just get like the ball?
Yes, it's one of the few things I do plan. Like there's very little I plan when it comes to writing, because I'm a pantser, as they say there's planners and people that fly by the seat of their pants. I'm a pantser. I don't like to plan too much, because if I plan too much, I always end up deviating anyway. Like when I send synopses for the books, like descriptions to my editors, I'm always like, this isn't final. Like this might not be what happens. Okay. And they're like, okay, because they know I deviate sometimes, or I'll go in a completely different direction. Because it's sometimes when writing, that's just how it happens. But with the plot twists, I usually know where they're going. Like with book one, at the very end, the reveal, I knew that from the beginning. I didn't know it at the very, very beginning, because when I first started writing the book, I didn't even know if I'd finish it. Like I was just trying to see like what it would look like. But I knew very early on who the traitor was going to be. I remember telling my parents about it, I remember telling my one friend, and they're like, oh my God, that's terrible. And I'm like, I know. Isn't it great? And I think same for book two. Book two was funny because the twist sort of towards the end, the reveal in book two, I figured that out also like a little bit into book two. Like I knew I wanted that twist. I just wasn't certain like what it was going to be. And then it was sort of like an aha moment like when I wasn't writing. I was just sitting and thinking about it and went, oh my God, that's perfect. And so I try to plan it like towards the beginning. There's quite a few in book three that I've known since book one. Okay. So those have been cooking for a while. There's been clues and hints to them. So we'll see.
So you didn't write them together?
Oh, like all the books at once?
I thought, because the book one ends all of a sudden.
Yes.
I thought it was meant to be one huge book, and someone told you like, there's no way we're gonna make
Oh my gosh, no, I wish. I mean, that would be great if I could write for like that long. No, but I did kind of make them so that they're like direct continuations of each other.
Because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Don't leave me here.
I thought the same thing. When I ended book one, I was like, oh my gosh, wait, is that it? Oh boy, people are going to be really mad at me. But yeah, I think, I don't plan like a whole lot, but there's certain framework things that I have planned. Like the overarching plot of the series, I know start, middle, end. I know exactly how it's going to end. Like I know what the last scene looks like. I know the last sentence of the last book.
Okay.
So some things are planned, but a whole lot isn't. So it's up for who knows.
Okay, and where do you get your inspiration for Evie and Tristan? Because I feel they both have really special personalities.
Yeah.
Before you said that Evie is kind of like you.
Yeah.
But Tristan, do you have a real life Tristan?
I don't. And people ask this all the time about my fiance. If he's definitely more Blade type. He's very, he's the sweetest. And he's definitely not grumpy per se, but I don't have a Tristan in like real life that I had in mind, but I feel like he is like Evie's. Like when I think of him, I'm like Evie, Tristan, like they're each other's person. So they're like each other's perfect match, but also they're really, really different.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like the idea I had going in, was that this character is really bubbly and bright and upbeat and optimistic. And then there's this other character that's really grumpy and hates feeling emotions and really hates joy and fun, and it doesn't see the point in any of it. But to the like core of both of them, they both kind of have the same problem, which is that Evie is very smiley and bubbly and happy, and she sort of displays like joy at a constant, even when she's not feeling joy. So she masks her real emotions sometimes with like a smile, and the villain is sort of the opposite, where he masks all emotions with just like a very stoic demeanor. So they're really similar in a lot of ways too. Like they're very different, but they both kind of struggle with the same thing in life, which is like regulating their feelings. So yeah, they to me were just they're not necessarily inspired by anybody, but they're definitely a culmination of all of my favorite things that I had growing up, like Grumpy Sunshine, characters that hate emoting, and the character that forces them to emote. Yeah, and I definitely was inspired, like Gilmore Girls we talked about earlier. Yeah. I love Gilmore Girls. I love the humor in Gilmore Girls. I love the Luke Lorelai dynamic. Another show I loved the dynamic of was in Arrow. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. There was Oliver and Felicity was like one of my favorite couples. That he's like a anti-hero, and she's sort of like his assistant type, type person. And she's very like Evie in that she like word stumbles all the time and says like the wrong thing, and he's just like, okay. And I love that dynamic. I do. I like it's so funny to me. So yeah, they've been like just each other's person, I think, the entire time.
I love them. Yeah. I think they're adorable together. They're and so fun.
Oh,
like I really enjoyed reading the book. It took me to that place and that moment. I don't know. Well, both are really good books, and I think those are my questions for now.
Thank you so much.
Until I read the third one.
Yes. So I'll wait for those.
Yeah. So when
you might yell at me a little bit too, which is fine. You're allowed to.
But you need to come back for a third one.
Yes, I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. Yes, most definitely.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for asking me such wonderful questions.
Muchísimas gracias por ver este video hasta acá. Los quiero muchísimo. Síganos en nuestras redes sociales. Y pues nada, si tienen alguna otra pregunta, ya escucharon, la vamos a traer de vuelta para el tercer libro. Entonces déjenlas acá abajo y probablemente se las podamos preguntar después. Los quiero mucho. Bye bye.